All right, now I want to touch base on using color gradients. So just to start off, if you're going to use a color gradient, which is, if we look at W3 schools, we can kind of see a gradient is going to look similar to this. You can find some really good resources, as usual, on W3 schools explaining how to do some of these things, but we're going to go through some of this in this video. So here, looking at this paragraph tag, we have a couple of them, but starting off, you're going to need background dash image, that background image property, and then for a linear gradient, we're going to use linear dash gradient. I'm going to go and put my parentheses and semicolons so we don't forget. And then inside of here, we can just give it the colors that we want to use. We can also give this a direction. So the format of this would be direction, comma, color 1, comma, color 2, comma, color 3, etc. On and on and on, depending on how many colors we need to use. You can leave the direction out, and then it will default to, I believe, top to bottom. So if I start with red, comma, yellow, and we save this, then we can see when we refresh the page, yeah, it starts with red at the top, yellow at the bottom. And it does that where it's using the entire size of the element that you're giving that to. So if that changes, like there's a lot more red in the second paragraph than there is in the first, we'll take a look at something else we can do there. If we want to change the direction, we just need 2 and then whatever direction we want to use. So to right instead of the top to bottom. And then when I save this and refresh it, now you can see it's going from left to right instead of top to bottom. We can tell it we want it to go to the bottom right. If we want this to kind of be angled a little bit. So now when I refresh it, it starts in the top left, moves down to the bottom right. If for some reason I want that to go the other direction and have the yellow up here in the top left and the red in the bottom right, there's a couple of things that we could do. It would probably make more sense to change the order of these colors like this. So yellow, red. So now when I refresh this, that's changed, so it starts yellow in the top left and red in the bottom right. I could also, instead of to bottom right, I could go and put it to top left. And now when I refresh this, it's going to be the same as what it was when we changed the colors around. So we're just kind of reversing how we did that. I think it makes more sense to change the colors that are being used, but you can do that however you might need to. And then here, going back to, no, I'm going to use the to right, save, and then here we can add in as many colors as we need to for this. So if we wanted something like a rainbow, we could go with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Those are our 7 main rainbow colors. So now when I save this and I refresh the page, we kind of have this rainbow look here going left to right. Again, I could put in, to bottom right and get that going kind of at an angle. Whatever might be giving me that look that I want to get, but that's how you would do those linear gradients. All right, now I want to take a look at creating some radial gradients, which are going to work similarly to the way the linear gradient does. I'm going to copy this line and comment it out. and then we'll take a look at some of the differences here. First of all, instead of linear, we have radial gradient. And then instead of a 2 bottom, 2 right, or 2 bottom right, something like that, what you can put in here is a shape. And some sizing, at position, so some different things that we can do there. But first I'm going to look at this without that and just using the color values. So here, this red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet rainbow thing that we had going on, I'm going to just use radial gradient and then those colors. And then we refresh our page and we can see it just kind of does this circle. We can see how that looks. And then when we have our full window, it still has that same look, but the shape's just a little bit different depending on how much space it has to work with to get all of those colors in there. So that's something to keep in mind. Now I want to take a look at adding in some shapes. So here, if we say we want circle, save that, then we're getting a circle instead of that oval that we did have. And depending on the size of the page, it's going to depend on how much of some of those colors actually show up. So here, I'm going to go back to my half screen. We can see we do have these colors on here. We're going the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. We just don't have the space to see all of that in the width, where up here we do. But up here we don't have the space to see it in the height. So we can kind of see how some of that works.